Welcome to another episode of Learn with Flo. I am so glad you guys are here. I am continuing on a series that I started last week, really diving into some of the major system differences that I really see in the world of healthcare that we're facing today. And so I introduced last week my 4 pillars of our holistic medicine model that I have come to know and love based off of things that I have seen in as failures of both the conventional and honestly even the functional medicine system. And so instead of trying to fight these two systems that are designing or that are operating exactly the way that they were designed, I decided to abandon both of them and create a new system, right? Which I call my holistic medicine methods. And the response that I got from that episode has been amazing. I think I really, like I said, started to open our eyes a little bit into some of the experiences that we feel like we're getting as kind of like duped root cause healthcare. And we start to realize how more and more of our healthcare experience is really just kind of tying us to this set of handcuffs. And we feel like a lot of our health interventions right now, to me, aren't necessarily creating more freedom, which means that they're not truly creating more health. They're kind of just, like I said, creating more handcuffs to where we feel like our health routines become so cumbersome. They become overwhelming. We feel like we're outsourcing our health to something or someone else, some sort of prescription, some sort of supplement, some sort of diet routine, right? And while some of these things are kind of under the guise of functional medicine, they may not actually be truly building a resilient body, a body that feels like it has full freedom and autonomy to live life and experience life to the fullest. And that is what I would really call thriving. And thriving is not necessarily something that is just happening if we're constantly handcuffed to a 17-step wellness routine in order to even like feel our best or operate life the way that we want to, right? So what I'm going to be diving into today, like I said, last week's episode, if you missed episode 152, go back and listen to that, where I really talked about some of the current functioning and limitations between both the conventional and functional medicine model. I introduced this concept of holistic medicine that I use in practice, and it's what I teach other fellow practitioners within my holistic medicine mentorship program to embody into their work as well. And in that, I discussed 4 major pillars of the holistic medicine model that just make it feel different. Once you're a patient inside the experience, once you're a practitioner inside the holistic medicine experience, things just feel different. And all of a sudden the light bulbs start to go off, the dots start to connect, and you're like, wait a second, this is a whole different mindset, and therefore then a slightly different execution of some of the same tools. So we talked about the 4 major pillars. Go back and review those if you missed that episode, because today what I really want to dive into is one of those major pillars that I identified with us last week. And that was the 4th major pillar of I truly believe that the standard of healthcare should be full freedom and autonomy. I feel like your health should be creating more opportunities to experience life, not less opportunities to experience life. It should be building more resilience for things like travel, should be building more resilience during times of stress, and not necessarily building less resilience. And it should also be giving you more freedom across the board, freedom from, like I said, 15 different supplements, freedom from 5 different food eliminations in order for your gut to feel good, freedom from a lifelong pharmaceutical list of prescription medications to manage your symptoms. And I think that that difference right there of are we building freedom or are we really just building another set of handcuffs is something that I don't think the healthcare space is talking about near enough. And I think that, to me, the definition of health is when our body doesn't feel, like I said, necessarily contingent on prescriptions to feel its best. It's not contingent on a hormone pellet or a weekly B12 injection just to feel normal. It's not dependent on this supplement stack. It's not contingent on a low FODMAP diet and a low histamine diet and paleo AIP protocol. Like, it's not contingent on an outside app that tells us like what to eat, right? It's not positioning your health in the hands of like I need another specialist or I need another doctor. It's the kind where your body just works. It works without you micromanaging it. It works with a very distinguishable set of toolbox for yourself, right? I'm not saying that then it's like totally hands off of the wheel. It's really, though, putting the freedom and the autonomy back in your hands so that you know and understand, oh, wow, that's how my body works. And once we understand how our bodies all work uniquely and also collectively, there are some like universal human truths that do apply to our human body health, but then there's so much nuance and variance from person to person that sometimes being able to hand someone a more concentrated toolbox for their own body, then all of a sudden they get to release the 15 other things that they were just scrapping together on their own and kind of chasing and calling it a health routine. But really at the end of the day, they were having to micromanage their body in order to feel some semblance of normal. And I'll share some examples and some stories with you about this because I have plenty of them. But even just to set the stage, let's talk about, like I said, really what challenge we're seeing right now in this health space. And this is applicable to conventional medicine and also functional medicine, of us really creating a healthcare standard that to me is not freedom. And if it's not freedom, then we're kind of missing the point. We're probably not getting to the root cause of that picture. So think about everything to kind of set the stage here. You can do this exercise with yourself. Think about everything that you're currently doing for your health. Most individuals, if you're like anybody that comes into my practice, a lot of individuals who are interested in the health and wellness field, you are also very like well researched, right? Your Instagram algorithm or your TikTok algorithm or your Facebook groups, like everything that you're in and your friend groups, it's like you guys are always talking about something, right? You're getting targeted ads for this supplement or this diet or this peptide, right? Think about all the things that you're doing for your health. Every supplement that you take, every food that you avoid, every protocol that you're following, every medication or hormone or intervention that is currently part of your daily health routine. Now, what I really want us to do is kind of ask ourselves a deep question here. Are those things that you identified that you're doing for your overall health right now, are those things designed and functioning as a bridge solution so that you eventually don't need them anymore? Are they functioning where it's like, okay, I'm bringing these things in right now for a specific reason and a season and a purpose to get me to a place where then I don't need them anymore? Meaning it's temporary and there's a specific exit strategy and there's a goal in mind that you don't need it forever? Or has it accidentally kind of become, whether like intentionally or unintentionally, it's become more of a permanent fixture? And all of a sudden this prescriptions, pills, supplement stacks, elimination diets, hormone pellets, weekly injections, peptides, you name it, there's not an exit strategy from it. There's not us asking the deeper questions underneath of, okay, why did this physiology develop in the first place? It's okay to throw your body some lifelines. I use them all the time in clinic, right? We got to get people feeling better yesterday. Sometimes that requires us to use some lifelines up front, but I'm always very forthcoming with my patients and I let them know, hey, this is something that I want to put in right now. This is a bridge because these things, this A, B, and C that we actually identified are more of the root cause contributors to your problem. They might take us 30, 60, 90 days to rectify and to make some changes around those things. And so I want to give you a bridge that's going to help kind of give you a life raft while we dig into that stuff behind the scenes for the next 30, 60, 90 days, 6 months, 12 months, right? There's some things behind the human body that just take time to kind of change some of that baseline biology. So what most people end up in my clinic for and get fed up with their healthcare experience is because they were handed prescriptions. They were told, here, just take this medication indefinitely, right? And they felt like their body is really just being managed and suppressed rather than truly supported and heard. And they feel dependent. They feel tethered to this, like they could not function without this thing, right? And then that's one side of someone who's maybe felt some of those handcuffs from more of a conventional medicine perspective. And then a lot of individuals maybe try to leave some of those handcuffs of conventional medicine and they feel like, wow, I found something different when I found functional medicine. And maybe it was functional medicine or integrative health or a root cause practitioner, and they thought, in air quotations here, that they were getting more of that actual holistic root cause analysis, and they were handed an elimination diet. Here's a low FODMAP diet. Here's a low histamine diet. Here's some hormone therapy. Here's supplement stacks and stacks and stacks and stacks of digestive enzymes and all of these different supplements. And all of a sudden, what they thought they were leaving conventional medicine to get something different in functional medicine really isn't any different, okay? They were just handed a different set of handcuffs because these tools then just become a lifelong crutch instead of a temporary bridge. It's like, yeah, but are we asking why? Are we asking why the body's hormones aren't holding their own right now, right? When you're 3 years into a supplement protocol and your list has only gotten longer, not necessarily shorter, or I've heard people that are afraid to go on vacation or travel without bringing all 40 of their supplements with them, or individuals that truly skip social experiences, like they say no to eating dinner out because they risk eating something that's on their like not allowed list. Like that is not freedom. And I see this in functional medicine all the time. We are just trading one set of handcuffs that was like, oh, here, take this prescription every day for the rest of your life. And all of a sudden one prescription turned into 5 different prescriptions because nobody's asking the question of how are all of these symptoms interconnected. You leave the conventional medicine model, you think you're getting something better with functional medicine, when in reality, a lot of those practitioners are just doing the same thing. And they're just giving people a supplement for every single symptom or a supplement for every single marker that's off on their labs. But to me, success for individuals is measured not by how long your supplement list is or how many different foods that you are eliminating from your diet. To me, success is freedom. And freedom means less dependency on supplementation, less dependency on like pharmaceuticals and peptides and hormones. It's like all of these lists of things that are outside of us should be getting smaller, and we should be growing more of sourcing the health tools that our body innately has and our body innately makes on our behalf if we know how to nurture that. So nobody's really, like I said, talking about how are we getting people off of medications? How are we actually getting people off of supplements? How are we getting people off of elimination diets? How are we getting people off of having to see 5 to 7 different specialists every year just to manage their health concerns? Like that to me is specifically why I built holistic medicine methods different, because this was the problem that I saw. People were thinking they were getting one experience from a conventional healthcare experience and also a functional healthcare experience. And all I see are people that are overwhelmed by the routine, overwhelmed by pills and protocols and supplements. And no one has talked to them about like, yeah, but what's the exit strategy? What are we doing to actually change your body's underlying physiology so that it holds itself up in its self-healing mechanisms? Because your body has those things. These supplement protocols and routines and prescriptions just aren't nurturing that because we're not asking the right questions. So I always talk about, like I said, supplemental interventions, or honestly, even pharmaceutical interventions, hormone interventions. Like these things are not bad. They should just be used as a bridge. Okay. And I talked about this already once, but when I say a bridge, it means that We're going to use it to kind of give you a life raft and give you a lifeline so that you can experience symptom resolution a little bit faster. But once you get to the other side of the bridge, you shouldn't need it anymore. Okay. A bridge has a purpose, right? It like gets us from point A to point B. It's functional. It's very necessary, but sometimes sometimes that's the only way across. Like, I am not anti-supplement. I'm not anti-pharmaceutical at all. I'm pro building bridges for people. But what I see more often is you get this bridge, right? Here's a medication. Here's a supplement. Here's an elimination diet. Here's a hormone. Here's an injection. Here's a peptide. And you were never given an off-ramp. What's the exit strategy? Why am I using this? What's the season that I'm using this? What am I doing in the meantime? What am I doing at the same time to truly understand and change the underlying physiology that's driving the need for this prescription peptide pharmaceutical in the first place, right? That's my biggest goal. And what I just don't feel like a lot of people are talking about is like, what are we building towards to create more of that freedom and to build more of this resilience? And most people just kind of start to assume that's what health looks like. Health looks like 50 different supplements, 10 different pharmaceuticals, 10 different foods that are not allowed, and like weekly injections and hormone pellets. Like, people almost just think that's the new normal, and that's just what it costs these days to like feel okay. And I am here to tell you that that's not even close. Okay. That there is such a thing as a bridge, but that bridge should have a destination. And then we should also be able to titrate off of that, and our body holds its own. That to me is true health and true health freedom. And I think we need to kind of raise the standard that we're asking our healthcare experience to provide for us, because not enough people are demanding that. Okay. And they're just accepting and rolling over that every year they go to their primary and they get a new prescription for a new symptom that they talk about. That's not health, right? It's just not health. But it's no different than going to a functional provider and them just giving you a supplement every time that you go in for a new symptom. It's no different, okay? We have to understand like what's the big picture overarching. So even just as a little bit of a story, I'll use a high level story here. I have so many of these, and obviously changing names. Let's just call this gal Anna for sake of our story time today. Anna's story is so real, and I see it more often than in clinic than not. And even if, like I said, some of the details are different, the core picture is so similar. So when I met Anna, she came to me already really having kind of been through the functional medicine experience, or what she thought was a functional medicine experience. That was until she kind of met me. She had done gut testing. She had done hormone panels. She was on multiple elimination diets. And when I asked her to list all of the different things that she was taking, she sent me a document, a multiple page document. I counted 23 supplements, 5 pharmaceutical medications. Okay, that's 23 supplements. That's a lot of capsules, because some of those were also like 2 capsules twice a day. So, I mean, we're talking 40 to 50 capsules by the time all is said and done. And when I looked at the list, I could see exactly what happened, right? I got it. I get it, because every symptom that she reported at some point was just assigned a supplement. You have bloating. Here's some digestive enzymes. You have fatigue. Here's some adrenal support. You have anxiety. Oh, here's some magnesium and some ashwagandha. You have trouble sleeping. Here's some melatonin and some L-theanine. You have hormonal symptoms. Here's some DIM. Here's some chase tree berry. Here's some Vitex, right? Here's some DHEA. And none of those are wrong per se, but the list had just grown longer and longer and longer over 2 years, not shorter. She still didn't feel well. She was just managing her symptoms at best. And even then it was just kind of like sort of. So I asked the question that like nobody had asked yet. I was like, why does her body need or feel like it needs 23 different things to even baseline function right now? What are the actual underlying physiological barriers, the underlying reasons why her body cannot source some of these things on its own? What are the parking brakes that we need to release? So I went back to the foundations. We went back to her blood sugar. We went back to her labs. We went back to seeing how dysregulated her blood sugar was in a way that was just destabilizing everything else, even though she was following her paleo AIP elimination diet to a T, her blood sugars were a disaster, right? Her gut terrain was second, right? She had dysbiosis that no one had ever really fully addressed. They just kind of supplemented around it. She had poor drainage pathways. She had poor liver detoxification issues. Her bowel motility was sluggish. She wasn't even pooping every day. And we worked on these foundational things 30, 60, 90 days, right? Strategically, not all at once, in the right order of operations. And then all of a sudden, domino effects started happening. The bloating and the constipation that required copious amounts of digestive enzyme support started to resolve on its own. The anxiety that she needed 4 different supplements and 2 different prescription medications to manage started to calm down because her blood sugar was more stable. Oh, her gut-brain connection was actually communicating properly. Her skin started to clear up, not because I added in any supplements, but because the liver was finally doing its job. So some of the pharmaceuticals that she was on for skin clearing, it's like that's what we're building towards. So by month 4 of us working together, her supplement list was from 23 to 6. Decreasing the amount of supplements. By month 8 of us working together, she came back in for a check-in and she said that she went on a trip last week and she forgot like half of her supplements. And honestly, she felt fine, right? And like she wasn't even anxious about that at all. And that's the moment, like that is the whole point. That's what we're building towards. And to me, when I really sought out to build holistic medicine methods in my patient care practice, but also my mentorship program, to me, that's the metric that the healthcare experiencing should be measuring against. Not are your symptoms managed, but we need 23 different supplements and 4 different pharmaceuticals and 5 different food eliminations to do that. But the metric truly is like the standard becomes like, is your body becoming more capable of managing itself over time? Those are 2 different questions and 2 very different goals. And again, almost no one in both the conventional or the functional healthcare space is really asking that question. Why? Follow the money, okay, people? A body that progressively needs less is not a great business model if someone's goal is to sell you something. If someone's ultimate goal is to get you to a place where you feel full freedom and autonomy over your body, you understand the healthcare toolbox that your body needs to thrive on, all of a sudden, you're not a profitable patient anymore. I'm okay with that. Fly, bird, fly, right? That is exactly what I want. And again, I know it sounds kind of harsh to think that way, is that a body that progressively needs less to function is not a great business model for someone trying to sell you something, okay? And this is just where we have to realize that between, the pharmaceutical billion-dollar industry and even like the functional world of protocols and testing and supplement stacks, it's booming too. And don't get me wrong, I will 100% admit that I am part of that world. Do I utilize lab testing? Yes. Do I utilize supplemental routines? Yes. All of it with the intent of building a bridge to give us the information of like, ooh, this is the underlying physiology that we need to go after, because while we might use some supplements as a bridge, my ultimate goal is to get you off of them, to build that exit strategy so that you feel like you know how your body works and is truly something that you know how to nurture without it feeling like micromanaging or overwhelming. So your goal, like I said, within the holistic medicine methods, the actual measurable, we both know that we got there kind of goal is your freedom and your autonomy and a body that you feel like you can trust, a body that communicates with you clearly. You know how to listen to those communication signals, a body that holds itself up beautifully without you having to white knuckle through a 17-step wellness routine. And the answer is not just like, try harder, do more, add more. The answer is usually we have to kind of step into a completely different mindset. We have to ask different questions. We have to step into a different model that is actually built with exit strategies, and it's built with off ramps. Not that we're gonna, we'll find the off ramps later. It's like, no, there are strategic off ramps already built into our route, and that is just the difference in our holistic medicine model. So it's closer than you think. If you're someone that you feel like, wow, this is really far away from my health, it's just because you've kind of been probably dancing between the conventional and functional medicine that really isn't, in my mind, true functional medicine, because they don't understand more of the holistic medicine experience with the off ramps. If you feel like this is you, you're like, you're calling me out, I have one of those overwhelming wellness routines, click on the link in my bio, schedule ourselves a functional wellness consult so that we can dive into these things together, and I can start to help you identify maybe some of those things that others are missing and help us really start to put together a lot more comprehensive thought process with built-in off ramps for you. So click in the link in my bio if that's of interest to you. And I'm looking forward to seeing you guys more next week for another episode of Learn with Flow.